Like, there's nowhere in the world that women are equal, but Scandinavia has made the most progress towards shared parenting, etc.
Yep.
That said, it's not done yet. There's nowhere in the world where this is done yet.
But it's having the opposite effect that the gender equality types predicted. Opposite, not the same. And it isn't a theory, it's actually data driven by tens of thousands of surveys and the best scientific literature on the topic. It's not a theory, and I didn't come about it because of my political perspective. I looked at the data. What it showed was that as countries become more egalitarian, the differences between men and women grow. They don't shrink.
So what I'm interested in is data and analysis as well, and I'm particularly interested in the ones presented, such as the ones by the University of Southern California, which discovered that change towards gender equality is actually being slowed by beliefs that are legitimizing social inequalities on the basis of sex. And I'm also interested, I mean, like Jordan, I look at the data and I look at the studies, and I'm really also very much interested in studies like the analysis that was done by the American Psychological Society, which looked at 45 analysis of whether there's sex difference over 20 years. And its conclusion was that men and women are basically alike in terms of personality, in terms of cognitive ability, in terms of leadership. But what it did find was that media depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's my fault.
Hey guys, welcome to That Liminal Period. This is Chun-Li Shadi, and today we're going to be doing a reaction video to a conversation that Jordan Peterson had with Sophie Walker 5 years ago on the Wright Stuff. Sophie Walker is a leader in the women's equality movement, and Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist that has made some inflammatory comments in the recent years. I thought it would be a great time to do a reaction video on this conversation just because of his recent appeal got denied, and essentially he is now being ordered by the Ontario School of Psychologists to go through social media training or risk his teaching license. So yeah, very interesting, and let's get right into it.
Depictions of men and women as fundamentally different perpetuate misconceptions, as does workplace bias.
Oh God, so it's my fault.
So no, well, you know, you're leaving soon. It's okay.
Men and women actually are more the same than they are different. But the issue is that small differences at the population level can turn into very large differences at the extreme. So, for example, men and women are broadly similar with regards to aggression, although men tilt a little bit more towards aggression. So that if you picked a random person out of the population, male and female, and you guessed that the male was more aggressive, you'd be right 60% of the time. But if you take the 1 in 100 most aggressive people, they're all male. And that's why the overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that? Just out of curiosity? What about...
Okay, so as you guys can see, both Jordan and Sophie agree that men and women are very similar when you're looking at the population level. Something that Jordan mentioned that I think is very critical to note is on the population level, even though the differences might be small, whenever you extrapolate it on the extreme level, the differences are a lot greater. So not only are we talking about aggression, but Sophie mentioned earlier was cognitive abilities. The average female IQ is about 112 and the average male IQ is 115. So when we're talking about it, it's only a 3-point IQ difference. However, when you take a look at the top 24 highest IQ around the world, 20 out of the 24 are all males. And upon closer inspection, you're actually going to see that 2 out of the 4 women that are on that list are actually biological males. So I'm not really sure how do you explain these discrepancies besides biological differences and cognitive ability. So yeah. We're probably very similar on the population level. You know, if I was to compare myself against an average male, I would like to think that I'm also intelligent. But when you take a look at the top IQ, 22 out of the 24 are men. Okay, and something else to note. And I know they didn't really talk about physiological differences, but I thought it'd be a good point to add because of the increase in biological males entering into the female athletic spaces in the recent years. If you take a look at the Battle of the Sexes that happened back in '98, Serena Williams and Venus Williams actually matched up with Karsten Brock, and he is the 203rd ranked male tennis player in the world. Okay, and when you're talking about Serena and Venus Williams, you're talking about the top elite female tennis players. Serena Williams during that time had 23 Grand Slam championships, where Brockman didn't even have a single one, and it was because he's 203rd ranked. But guess what? He swept both Serena and Venus. He had a 6-2 against Venus and 6-1 against Serena. So how do you really explain that? You're not even talking about the top 10, top 100 male tennis players. And something else to add is that he actually was about 10, 15 years older than both the sisters. They were in their early 40s back in 98, whereas Brockman was 54. So again, I'm not really sure if it's going to be social media bias or bias of individuals that determined their performance, or the Williams sister lack thereof.
Overwhelming proportion of people who are in prisons are male. Now, do you want to equalize that, just out of curiosity? What about bricklayers? They're 99% male. And we've got about 3/4 of the population now in universities in the humanities and social sciences are female.
Yeah.
Are we going to equalize that? And men work longer hours. They work more dangerous jobs. They're more likely to move. They're more likely to work outside. They're more likely to participate in jobs in the STEM fields that are scalable. They make more money for those reasons. And that's all hidden under the idea that the reason that men and women make different amounts of money is because of their gender. It's a very simplistic analysis, and trying to
Michael,
address
I was just going to say, Sophie, can you come back on that?
What I'm trying to equalise is opportunity and choice.
Fine, let's equalise
You
choice.
agree on that.
But we won't get equal outcome that way.
And I think that what happens then, nobody knows, because we've never done it yet.
We do know. We know what's happened in Scandinavia.
But it's not fully got there yet.
No, but it's going in the opposite direction that everyone predicted, and strongly.
I think one of the things I loved about Jordan's book, which I speed read last night.
Sorry, she's patronizing him actually, because I actually have Jordan's Peterson book right back here. And there's no way she could speed read that book in one day or one evening. So first of all, you can already tell that she's trying to, I guess, discredit what he has to say, or at least take value away from it and show that she's also reading from the same book. I don't know if you guys actually caught that earlier, but what she said was that she wanted equal opportunity, right? Equality of choice. And said what they're looking for is equality in outcome. That is something that I've seen conflated a lot by the progressives and the liberal media in equality and equity. People are expecting to get this same outcome despite what type of choices they're making, what type of education they're going out for, and how hard they're applying themselves. Like he said, men are working longer hours. Point blank period. You take a look at it, like women are taking sabbaticals and maternity leave. If a man was to do that, he is not going to be able to come back into the workforce and expecting the same amount of pay. And yes, that is a biological difference, and that is something that we cannot change because women are the one giving birth. Men and women are not supposed to be same, and we're not.
So forgive me, Jordan, I've not read every line. But one of my favourite rules in Jordan's book is Rule 9, which says, assume the person you are listening to might know something you don't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think...
But is she assuming that he knows something that she doesn't when she's dismissing him, or when she's over-talking him, or rolling her eyes when he's actually presenting facts? Highly doubt it.
In a country where men outnumber women by 2 to 1 in Parliament, in local government, where women's voices are not equally represented in media, where our education systems still are teaching boys and girls ideas of pink and blue. Yep. What I'm trying to do is work with thousands of optimistic, hopeful people for change.
Okay. You kept very quiet through this, Michael. I'm going to make you put you under a bit of pressure. Do forgive me, I'm going to come to the calls in a moment. Your boss called the gender pay gap a burning injustice. Is it?
Yes, it is, because there should be inequality of opportunity. There needs to be the same rights. But you know, something that surprised me...
Sorry, but what rights do women not have? Waiting. None. Men and women have equal rights here in America. I mean, no, you're not going to be able to both give birth despite what they try to tell you. No, you're not going to be as strong as a man despite what they try to tell you. No, you're not going to swim as fast as a man. So no, you're not going to have the same type of representation in all aspects. Like, that's just an impossibility. And not only can we not expect that from male and female, but we cannot expect equal representation of all facets of life. We cannot have equal representation of heterosexuals and homosexuals, bisexuals, transsexuals. There's so many different things. We cannot have equal representation of Jewish people, Muslims, and Hindus, Buddhists. We can't have equal representation of blacks, whites, Hispanics, indigenous. There's just an impossibility. And for the liberals and the progressives, it's actually a lot more important for them to have representation despite what the ideologies are. They're not looking for a difference in opinion. They're just looking for a difference in sex.
Neither of you, and equality of outcome, sure, all of that.
No. Why are we looking for equality of outcome? So you're telling me that if I was to work hard, make sacrifices, saved up my money, invested in education, and put myself out there, networked, and got a great career, now I'm expected to make the same amount of money or get the same incentives as someone who did not apply themselves, who did not reach for that next level in education, did not go out there and network, who doesn't want to put in the work? Should an arts major make the same thing as a neuroscientist? No. And like Jordan mentioned, men are the ones that are entering into the STEM field. Do you understand that females are encouraged? There are just things that are intrinsic, okay? Men are going into the STEM field because they are logical, rational beings. Like, they like to fix things. They are a lot more in tune with the world and how it works around them. Whereas women are social and caretakers. Like, that is just intrinsic. That's why you see the differences in the media and social platforms that we use. You see a lot more men on Twitter. You see them on Quora, Reddit, YouTube. And then you see mostly women on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. It's just a difference. And it's not because you're a man that you're not allowed on TikTok or Instagram. It's a choice. Men care about conversation, discussion, and solutions. Women are a little bit more about vanity. Sorry to say that.
But the one thing both of you haven't mentioned is the biological difference, which unfortunately affects women's career prospects, whether we like
Babies
it or not.
yeah.
Babies. And that does cause a problem. You know, if I were to take a sabbatical from a corporation for a while, it's going to set me back slightly. And it is a problem that biologically it's women who have babies, not men.
Sure, but that's why we are the...
And this was 5 years ago, so I don't know the name of the gentleman that was speaking, but I'm sorry to say, but in 2024, he is canceled. Women and men can both have babies, and yeah.
So the Women's Equality Party is the only party in the UK that's got policies around shared parental leave.
She's so political.
We're the only party that has got fully costed plans for universal free childcare. What we're saying is that
you're trying to change the
we're trying to change the outcomes, and also men are joining our party. Men who are really
tired.
I'm sure I'm going to have a word with Michael because I am sure he'll want the application.
Okay,
we take joint membership.
Forgive me, I want to take one call if you'll forgive me, because time is really short, and I owe it to the viewers to hear their views on this.
We've got Salim calling from Manchester.
Salim, good morning.
Hi Matthew, how you doing?
I'm very well. I'm loving it. I'm a pig in heaven today. What do we think about equality? Will it ever happen, Salim?
I was going to say I thought it was going to happen, but after listening to Jordan, he's swayed my opinion.
No. Why did you think it was going to happen?
Because I think
he swayed him with logic and facts. That's how you swayed. Okay, let's just keep it honest.
We're going to become more cognitive creatures, and jobs are going to be more about mental skills,
technology.
But then I've been visited schools, and I work in STEM. I'm a software developer, and the number of women doing software development hasn't increased. I would have thought they would have increased more, but I went into secondary school to do GCSE IT stuff, and there's very, very few girls doing IT, and I was thinking IT is the future, and the schools are pushing for more girls to go into IT, but there's only I visited about 8 schools.
Do you hear Sophie's and ahs in the background? That's her completely dismissing his facts and his experience, And like he said, he went into IT. He didn't say he was forced into IT. And honestly, if you were to start taking a look into it, there's STEM scholarships specific for women. You're not going to find specific scholarships for males trying to enter the STEM field. And that's going to be where we're going to drive the most advances as a world. Where we place value and what is scalable has a lot to do with how you're being compensated. Like I said, you're getting scholarships, you're getting seats saved for you. It is a part of affirmative action to have more women in male spaces and vice versa. I went to nursing school about 10 years ago, and that is healthcare, education are predominantly female. So to the opposite effect, you're actually seeing seats saved and scholarships provided to male to enter into the nursing and healthcare field. But despite the efforts that we have to encourage men to enter female spaces and vice versa, we're not seeing the increase. I looked it up right before creating this video, and 99% of engineers are men. And most of these men are also going in to get secondary graduate degrees. And I really don't know how Sophie plans on disputing this.
Can I just note, because I'm 30 seconds, Sophie's idea, actually representations in the media could be affecting such choices. Geeks, we see geeks, bespectacled blokes with bad hair on computers. That's what tech means, isn't it?
Yeah, and you're absolutely right, because I think actually that one of the other things we want to do is to have a look at curriculums, to have more female role models, to, you know, to encourage girls, because so long as we still see STEM as a boys area that we're trying to get girls into, it's not going to work. We need to do what we're doing on care, get more boys thinking about, you know, nursing, teaching, more role models for boys in schools.
And
that's the way you break it all down.
Programs like EastEnders.
Okay, but who is stopping them from wanting to be caretakers and nurturers? Who is stopping these boys from entering these spaces? And it's not because they're unwelcomed. They are very welcome. They are encouraged. They are incentivized to actually join. And so I think that she's trying to make every single point except for acknowledge reality for what it is. Men and women have different interests, and they go into different professions based on their interests and their success rate.
The archers, that's helped them
complete, right. So, listen, I have to draw things to a conclusion.
And honestly, pause. Not only do you as an individual get to decide which career field you want to enter, but think about it. How many females or how many families out there are actually going to trust a male nanny? How many people are out there searching specifically for men babysitters? You're not. And it's not because you are sexist personally. It's not because I'm sexist, but it's because we innately know who and what we are comfortable with in what capacity. Sorry, I'm not super comfortable with a male gynecologist. Not because they are not intelligent, not because they don't know and don't understand female anatomy, but because I am much more comfortable with a female looking at my hoo-ha. Why do we not see many females coaching football? It's not like they're not actually the one playing the game. It's not because they don't understand the game. It's not because they're not able to read the plays and call out plays. It's because that is not something that they are interested in. That is not something that they have a forte in. And yeah, it makes a much more interesting game when you have male coaches and male players.
Can I just say how wonderful, 3 people, diverse political views, diverse views on many other issues that get along.
Okay, so as you can see, the video is going to conclude right there, and they really made no progress. But Jordan said what he had to say and was completely dismissed by Sophie. The conclusion is they want equity. They want all of us to have the same outcome, to be treated the same despite the amount of work and expectation that comes from us individually, despite what we want. Some people enjoy working hard. Surprise. Some people are motivated by success. Some people could care less. Some people enjoy being starving musicians and trying to go into the world of acting. Okay. And yeah, I think it's really crazy to see how she can confidently dismiss the fact that there are a lot of professions where women dominate and women make more money. Okay, we mentioned education, we mentioned healthcare, but also take a look at the world of models, the world of sex work. Do you think men are receiving the same amount of money and the same amount of attention, the same amount of opportunities? They're absolutely not. Absolutely not. When you take a look at like male athletes versus female athletes, when you see the NBA bringing in more profit than the WNBA, it's not because we're on equal playing field, and it's not because women have the same interests. Because honestly, despite the fact that the skill sets are different, also take a look at the demographic that's consuming these sports. That also depends on how valuable that particular career is. So for female basketball players who garner no attention, get no viewership, get no brand deals, and have, you know, requested I guess, special treatment, lowering of the basketball hoop in order for them to dunk. You're not entertaining. I don't see any females in the stands. Men are the ones subsidizing the sport. Men are the one expected to watch the sport. So yeah, you're crazy. Tell me what you guys think, and yeah, let's have a conversation in the comment section below. Bye.